Welcome to Profiles at Sea. My special guest this morning is a gentleman who maybe you're familiar with if you've stopped by Facets. His name is Nick Cronin, and he's the owner of Chimera.
Good
Am I
morning.
pronouncing that
You
right?
got that exactly right. Well done.
Good,
Very
good,
good.
good. Yeah. Chimera is fine jewelry, and no doubt you've had a chance to visit. If not, I hope you will, because it's some extraordinary, extraordinary jewelry. Nick, you are from where?
Originally, I'm from the UK, Cambridge in the UK.
Okay.
But Paul, my lovely wife, who's the other owner of the company, 51% stakeholder. I got the 49%. You know how that goes. So we're based in Miami. We're also based in Naples, Italy.
Oh, good.
And so the reason that we're based in two places is we run our business operations from two parts of the world, so to speak. Our jewelry is very unusual in the fact that a lot of people in this industry will have pieces that are commercially produced, so they're production line pieces, and there's a market for that. But the market that we're into are the pieces that are one of a kind and completely handmade from start to finish. So we have our Italian artisans in Naples, Italy, who have families and families of traditions going back generations who make our jewelry. So they're all made not even from the lost wax process. They start off from a flat sheet of gold, and they're built up, and the gemstones are cut by hand, master cut. They're not commercial cut. And if you come by the shops, I'd love to show you the difference between the two, because there's a big difference between how those gemstones are cut. So the whole assembly line as such is all made by hand. We have a person that makes the setting, we have a person that cuts the stone, and we have a person that sets the stone. So that's three people making one piece. So,
And this is all done in Naples, Italy.
Naples, Italy. We also have facilities in Miami as well, for our market in America. So we cover both areas to accommodate the necessary customs laws that you have to do for the European Union and also for America. So.
Well, I'm just curious about the process. How does it start? Do you see some gems, for example, and think of settings, or do you think of a setting first and then go find the gems that fulfill that?
That's an excellent question. So it's a combination of both. Sometimes you get to see a beautiful gemstone, and a lot of the times we actually don't buy our gemstones cut. We cut the stones ourselves. So we'll buy directly from the mine or from the agent from the mine. We always buy close to the source. It keeps the cost down, the same as we can pass on to our customers. So sometimes you'll see a beautiful gemstone, you have an idea how it's going to be cut, and you're going to put maybe a big piece will go into a pendant, or you might have a piece that would make a beautiful pair of earrings. So, and sometimes if we have a piece that's cut, we can recut them. So a lot of the times when gemstones are cut, they're not always cut to the specification that meets our requirements. So we'll recut that, and then once we recut it, we can figure out what we're going to do. But as regards to the design, I think I like to call it wearable art. Like any artist, wearable art.
Wearable art.
Yes. So
Okay.
I think like any artists that are influenced by different eras of art, history and culture that influence how they paint. It's the same way for us for jewelry, and we design many of the pieces ourselves. And we're always looking for inspiration. And when you travel around, especially on a cruise ship, you go to so many different cultures, and it's amazing the inspiration you can get from the history of a country. And so we try and incorporate that history into the pieces that we make. So we really, not only are we producing unique pieces, we're incorporating things that are relevant perhaps to some parts of the world that we've traveled in as well.
Right. Obviously, there's a lot of influences that you have in your artwork. Is there something that makes your artwork unique? How is it characterized? You say wearable art.
I think because, for example, we have some beautiful pieces in the shop now that are Byzantine based, and people associate the Byzantine era of being the Middle Eastern, but perhaps a lot of people don't realise that was also a big influence in southern Italy. So it influences culture, influences language, it influences food, and you'll see a lot of that residue still very active today in the different places in the south of Italy, but also influence their architecture. The Bourbon family were a big lovers of Byzantine art themselves and jewelry, and a lot of the pieces today that are designed in Italy are still influenced by Byzantine pieces. So we have a modern interpretation of that. So we have some beautiful pendants and rings that reflect that type of example of a cultural influence, a cross-cultural influence from one part of the world to another, and how we then express that through our jewelry and, as I say, our wearable art.
The wearable art is that when I think of jewelry, I think of earrings, I think of necklaces, pendants, bracelets. Is that all inclusive?
Yes, we do matching sets. The great thing about us as well is that if there's sometimes we'll just do a beautiful ring by itself, but if there's something somebody wants to develop the bracelet will go with it, or the earrings perhaps, or the pendant, because we can custom make any piece to someone's specification, then that's something we can always add on and put in the pipeline for a piece to be made for them. So
I would
total
imagine
flexibility.
that would be something a lot of there's a very many artistic people themselves in particular about a look, and some have had great success. So maybe something that they want duplicated they've seen someplace else.
Absolutely.
So they come to you with a picture or with an idea.
Yes.
And you get together and can craft that.
Yes, I mean we'll have pieces where they might not like the stone, for instance. They want a different gemstone in the settings. That's easy for us to do. That's not a problem. But they might come in with a piece that was a family heirloom that they want updated. They want it to be revived. So we can easily do that. If they come in with a sketch, we can then work with them on the sketch, and we can translate that idea into a beautiful piece of jewelry for them. And that happens a lot for us. We do a lot of special orders for people that are interested in that.
Okay, now how do you handle that where you don't have a brick and mortar kind of facility? Do you do this online with people? Is it face to face?
Yeah, well, if we're on land, it's always face to face, and the reason we don't have bricks and mortar is because that's first of all we don't want to have the overhead of a shop. We're all about giving amazing quality at unbelievable prices. So by not having a brick and mortar store, as you know, you reduce the cost. Big savings.
Yeah.
Because we buy directly from the mine or the agent to the mine. We're not going through a whole long line of different agents who all got their add-ons. So that's another savings we pass on. And if someone's on a ship, then it's very simple. The process of purchasing is the same as purchasing the actual piece if it was actually physically in the ship, and then we just go through that transaction step, and then the piece is delivered to you back home wherever you may be in the world. It comes via courier, fully insured.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the kinds of stones. I don't know what the market's doing these days, but I would think that for some people this is an investment also, and one that's not only a financial investment, but a personal investment. And I like to concentrate more on that because personally I've had some jewelry that was passed on from my mother, and this has been a personal investment for my wife and now to my daughter, that every time I see that jewelry, and they have updated it, by the way,
Right.
But every time I see it and I think of the evolution and I think of my mother, I mean, it's incredible the intangibles that come with the jewelry.
It's a very interesting point you raise because my mother herself, she passed away a few years ago, but she left a beautiful ring that she had given to my niece, and she had said to my niece in the will, if my niece ever had a daughter, then she'd like that niece, will be her great niece, to have it on her 21st birthday. So she's now 7 years old, so in 14 years time she's going to get a beautiful piece of jewelry from her great grandmother, who she never met, but a beautiful emotional link. And I think that's always the investment in jewelry. It's the emotional investment when you buy a piece of jewelry. It represents a particular place that you've been to, a certain time in your life, a certain event, and you tie that emotion to the piece of jewelry. I think with regard to gemstones, we have a beautiful collection and selection of all types of different gems. Obviously, with the Tahitian pearls, beautiful pearls. We have South Sea pearls, Tahitian pearls, and I also think that there's a big trend change now in the industry. Diamonds diamonds are forever. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. But it's interesting. I think perhaps now more than ever with technology, it's incredible how generations have changed. Our millennial generation buy very differently, they think very differently, they're influenced very differently. Brand names aren't so important for them as perhaps they are for us in our generation. And so diamonds are not popular with them. They are looking for colored gemstones, and colored gemstones such as beautiful tourmalines that we have from Brazil, the very rare Pad Parashar, which is a beautiful pink sapphire from Sri Lanka, named after the lotus flower. The Paraiba also from Brazil, which is a very rare, beautiful copper infused blue stone. It's for every 10,000 diamonds mined, only one of these comes out of the ground. So there's the color gemstones is a very as a product that the millennials identify with, and now the older people identify with it because they stand out more. They look very, very different. We put them in incredible settings. We accent them with beautiful diamonds. We use the highest color and the highest clarity diamonds, so they really elevate. And so the trends always come and go. And I always say for us, we're all about style, never fashion, because style is something that lasts forever. And as we know, with fashion comes and goes every other year almost, or every 6 months in some cases.
Well, what's interesting too is that, for example, in the cruising, we have many more casual days than we used to, and I know that for those of you that have cruised over the years recognize that. But what's nice now too, though, is you see more and more people wearing fine jewelry with casual clothes. I mean, let's face it, some of the what I would call Levi's, but denims. They are more expensive than what
Yeah.
many gowns have been.
Yeah.
To look fine in casual wear sometimes is an expensive operation, and to have fine jewelry with that, it looks great, especially colored jewelry.
Yeah, and that's true. I still have a hard time spending. I'd have a hard time buying a pair of designer jeans for $300 when I can get my 501s for 34. So that's I always say price, value, quality on certain things. But I think in the world of jewelry, there is a big change, and a lot of people now are wearing their jewelry that they perhaps never would have worn before, only if they were going out for a beautiful evening somewhere dressed up. But now they wear it casually. I think it's like the time where you used to go to a restaurant and red wine with meat and white wine with fish, and now it's no one cares. And I think
Right.
there's a big change in culture and how people go out. And so you definitely see, like you say, on the ships, a lot of people wear beautiful jewelry and they're dressed up in a nice pair of jeans and a polo shirt, and they got their jewelry on. They look like $1 million. So it's
Sure.
nice to see. It opens a door up for a
What's
lot
your
more.
price point range that we have in the
So
shops?
our price point range on from our pearls, from $1,000 up, sky's the limit, and even on our jewelry. And we have pieces of beautiful handmade pieces, one of a kind, from $1,500 all the way to $100,000. So we have pieces that will for everyone's taste and everyone's price point.
Good.
And like I say, I think it's always nice when you purchase a piece of jewelry that you're the only person. I say there's 7 billion people in the world, so it's a nice feeling to be that 1 in 7 billion that only you have it.
Absolutely.
Because if you go into the Caribbean, they have some beautiful shops there, but that's all production line jewelry. It's a beautiful ring, expensive ring, but it's one of 10,000 pieces that's made. So we're not in that market. Our market is the one of a kind piece for that one of a kind person.
Oh, great. Well, Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Nick Cronin can be found at Facets along with the Chimera line of jewelry. Hope you'll stop by and have a visit.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Nick.
much. Thanks very much.
You bet.
Thank you. Cheers.